Conquer the Sky, Christopher Daniels, Frank Fizan, collectively known as SoCal Uncensored or
SCU! This is Catch, Hook, and Shoot, the worst podcast I've ever been on. Word.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Catch, Hook, and Shoot, episode number 100. Today is Sunday, May the 3rd, 2020. I want to thank everybody for watching, listening, and subscribing on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, any place to get your podcasts. Make sure you're following on social media. It's at catchhookshoot on any social media platform. Head to patreon.com/catchhookshoot for bonus content and prowrestlingtees.com/catchhookshoot for all your t-shirt needs. And if you ever want to send me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. I cannot tell you guys how excited I am to hit 100 episodes this week. I love doing this show. I love putting it out for you guys every week. I appreciate everybody who has stuck with me and kept listening and watching for this long. I can't even put into words how grateful I am to everybody for listening and watching the show. So let's start this week off like we do every week, and that is with the match of the week. Alright, so the match of the week this week comes from AEW Dynamite, and it is Dustin Rhodes versus Lance Archer, the semifinals for the TNT Championship Tournament. What can be said about these two guys? I mean, Dustin Rhodes, just a consummate professional, been in the business God, seems like forever at this point, and just keeps getting better year after year as far as his in-ring work, his storytelling, and this match told a great story with Dustin and Archer. Archer just as they call him, the Murder Hawk, and he is just one of the most dominant, brutal guys in the ring that you ever want to see. Just a fantastic monster heel, and these two guys put on a great match this week. So like I said, match of the week. If you only check out one match this week, make it Dustin Rhodes versus Lance Archer. Archer, of course, was victorious, but we'll get into that a little bit more. So, match of the week, Dustin Rhodes versus Lance Archer from AEW Dynamite. And so we're going to do something a little bit different this week. We're going to forego some of the usual segments that we have to take a look back over the last 100 episodes. I'm going to play some of the interviews that I've had with wrestlers, Hall of Famers, that kind of thing. And the first one up this week is my very first wrestler interview that I had on the show, and that was from a Warrior Wrestling event, and that was with Molly Holly. So check this one out.
Hello, I am standing here with Molly Holly. Actually, can you take a couple steps this way?
Is this also video? Oh,
yes,
it
is.
Hair. Okay.
You look perfect.
Thanks.
First of all, thank you for coming by. You are the very first wrestler that I've ever interviewed, so if I'm a bit nervous...
Oh, that's so exciting. Oh, you're nervous now. Wait till I attack you.
Okay, I can die happy now. But so you're refereeing tonight, Jordan Grace versus Tessa Blanchard for the first ever Warrior Wrestling Women's title.
Yes, I am.
So how are you feeling going into that one?
I am terrified. Oh my gosh, I am so out of shape. Plus, refereeing is like a whole special skill where you can only really improve by practice, and
right.
I have not refereed a gig in quite some time. So.
Yeah, I don't think referees get enough credit for what they do. Oh my gosh,
it's like you have to stay out of the way yet be in the action and anticipate when things are happening so that you don't get run over, and you have to hold control. There's so many elements to what that is, and anyway, I'm just hoping I don't mess anything up. So.
I'm not thinking you will. So what do you think about Jordan and Tessa? For me, they're the two best in the world right now.
They're amazing. Tessa's got a line out the door. There are people from all over, like 5 states around, that have driven in just to see Tessa. So she's got her autograph signing line is very, very impressive, and it's for good reason. She's amazing, and to see these girls tonight, I'm excited to be like up in the action, and I'll get to see all the maneuvers, and I'll probably be like feeling their pain emotionally, and also being really thankful that I'm not the one taking the bumps. But it should, tonight's, or I guess this afternoon. I keep saying tonight. I'm like, oh, it's a matinee
I know.
show.
Yeah,
But
I've
it
been
should
doing
be
the same
awesome.
thing. All right. Well, thank you so much. I know you probably want to get back to your table because I know you've had quite a line this afternoon too. But thank you so much for stopping by. This is awesome.
Thanks
I appreciate
for
it
having
so
me.
much.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
So that was my first ever interview with Molly Holly. She was just, incredibly cool, incredibly gracious with her time, and just made me feel very comfortable talking to her. She's just an amazingly nice person, and I really hope I get the chance to talk to her again at some point, because that was, for being my very first interview, was an awesome experience, and I can't thank her enough for agreeing to take a couple of minutes of her time and to come and talk to me at the Warrior show. And just can't say enough good things about Molly Holly. So moving into the next segment of the show, one that we are keeping for this week, it is the top 3 highlights of the week for me, and I am talking about the 3 count. So first up on the 3 count this week, Dark Side of the Ring. Then this week's episode was about Dr. D. David Schultz. Now he is best known for basically beating the crap out of a reporter back in the 80s. Not beating the crap out of him. He smacked him around a little bit in the backstage area. Basically this reporter was kind of doing like an expose on professional wrestling and how it's quote unquote fake, which I hate when people use that word about wrestling, but it is what it is. But, David Schultz had a reputation as a legit tough guy, number one, and somebody who protected and stood up for the business pretty much at all costs, no matter what. So he was the wrong guy to ask that particular question to. And, he, in my opinion, the reporter, he got what he deserved. I mean, he said flat out to David Schultz's face, well, I think this is fake. And he got the crap slapped out of him, and he deserved it. I mean, asking questions about the business is one thing, but the guy showed zero respect for the business, for the people who do it for a living. Pro wrestling, it's predetermined, it's staged, it's scripted, however you want to say it. But these guys go in that ring and put their bodies on the line day after day after day, some of them up to 300 plus days a year, and to just flippantly and nonchalantly say what they do is fake is just the ultimate disrespect to anyone who works in this business. So like I said, in my opinion, the guy got what he deserved. He could have gotten a whole lot worse. I mean, he could have got the hell beaten out of him. He got slapped around a little bit. So, and he asked for it. He deserved it. And that's, it's my opinion. Some people are going to say Schultz went too far. But I don't think so. You disrespect somebody to their face. You disrespect their career, their livelihood, what they do for a living, what they do to feed their family, and there's going to be consequences. So it is what it is. But and that of course that little incident pretty much cost Dr. D his career. He was on track to be one of the top heels in WWE in the 80s. And it just, that never materialized, obviously, because of this incident, and he just kind of dropped out of sight after that. But definitely, if you haven't checked out Dark Side of the Ring, check this one out. Very interesting story. Found out a lot of stuff I didn't know about David Schultz. So, Dark Side of the Ring, Dr. D. David Schultz, check that one out. Number 2 on the 3 count, we found out this week that the men's and women's Money in the Bank matches are going to take place at the same time. Kind of an interesting twist on this one, in addition to the twist of the matches being held at the WWE corporate headquarters. Matches are going to start in the lobby and work their way up to the roof, where the briefcases are going to be suspended above the ring. And so the men's and women's match is going to be taking place at the same time. Should be an interesting match to watch. Might be a little difficult to keep up with. You're going to have 6 men and 6 women, basically fighting all at the same time. It's going to, I would think it's going to kind of resemble a battle royal, just not in a ring. It's going to be going through the WWE offices. So, I'm curious to check this one out. I'm cautiously optimistic that it could be a very cool match, a very cool way to do the these particular matches. So we'll find out how that's going to work. Number 3 on the 3 count, Being the Elite, episode 201. Now, if you're not a fan of Being the Elite on YouTube, I definitely suggest you check it out, especially if you're a Young Bucks fan, if you're an AEW fan. It it does tie in sometimes to some of the storylines on TV. The AEW, they use all of their platforms to contribute to their product, and I think that's a really cool way of doing things. But on this particular episode of Being the Elite, I'm just talking about like the last few seconds of the show, and I think everybody knows by now the Revival was released by WWE a few weeks ago, and the Revival has had kind of I can't say a presence because they haven't been on the show, but they've been mentioned off and on Being the Elite since almost the beginning of the show. And at the very end of this episode, Matt and Nick Jackson are sitting in their backyard and look up at the sky, and you see basically looks like skywriting or a cloud formation or whatever you want to call it of the letters FTR. And obviously FTR, that's the Revival, or the team that's now known as the Revolt. But a big kind of a running joke in the earlier days of Being the Elite was Cody Rhodes just kind of randomly saying F the Revival. So, but of course, the Revival themselves say FTR means Forever the Revival. Well, now means Forever the Revolt. And so we saw those letters up in the sky, kind of dropping a hint that we are probably going to be seeing the Revival or the Revolt in AEW sooner rather than later, which I don't think that comes as a big surprise to anybody, but I do think it's pretty cool that they, obviously making mention of them on Being the Elite, so that, I'm interested to see where this is going to go. Are the Revival or the Revolt going to show up on Being the Elite? Are they going to show up on AEW TV, since it's sounding like they're going to be, able to do live tapings again coming up here pretty soon. So we'll have to wait and see, but all signs are pointing to the Revolt showing up in AEW. So that's it for the 3 count for this week. So let's get into another one of the interviews that I've had over the last 100 episodes on the show. This one was from the last Warrior Wrestling show prior to the lockdown that we're all dealing with right now, Warrior Wrestling 8, and this is with the gentleman who won the Warrior Wrestling Championship at that show. Didn't even know at the time I talked to him that he was going to be in that match, though. But the person I am talking about, one of my favorite independent wrestlers, it's Brian Pillman Jr. So check out this interview with him.
What's up, guys? This is Tom with Catch, Hook, and Shoot. I am here at the Warrior Wrestling Fan Fest, standing next to the 2-time Rookie of the Year, Brian Pillman Jr. And tonight you're taking on Bully Ray, and it's got a little personal with you guys.
Yeah, I think Bully's really lived up to his name here, always picking on the younger guys like me, but he poked a bear. Shouldn't have picked on me, buddy. Shouldn't have drugged my father into this. And now it's personal. It's not just business anymore, and I'm going to be coming out. I'm going to hit the ring swinging. There's not going to be any locking up. There's not going to be any wrestling. This is going to be a fight, and it's going to be a fight that you're going to want to see on Fight TV and on High Spots Network here at Warrior Wrestling 8.
And also, of course, you can listen to the live audio on Podbean as broadcast by myself. Once again, Warrior Wrestling.
For the podcast here, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you for taking the time. I'll let you get back to your fans here, and watch out for those tables.
All right, that was my interview with Brian Pillman Jr. from Warrior Wrestling 8. Again, great experience talking to him. He is such a humble and just a very nice guy. Great to talk to. Very gracious. Didn't even give a second thought to, when I asked him if I could tape that interview with him, because, these interviews that I've had at the Warrior shows, they're very impromptu. They're not planned ahead of time. It's just, I kind of, when I get to the Warrior Wrestling Fan Fest, I just kind of test my luck, because, obviously these guys are there to meet and greet with their fans, so I try to kind of gauge, if there's a break in their line, kind of a lull in their, in the crowd a little bit, I'll see if they'll spare me a minute or two to talk to me. And pretty much everyone that I've asked has has been nice enough to grant me those couple of minutes. So I cannot thank Brian Pillman enough for taking a few minutes to talk to me at the last Warrior show. Like I said, that was the show where he won the Warrior Wrestling Championship. So moving into some news and rumors for the week for WWE. On Monday Night Raw, we saw Samoa Joe back in the commentary booth. Yeah, I have a feeling Samoa Joe is probably going to get the Taz treatment in WWE. He's had a number of injuries, especially since moving up to the main roster, and he is phenomenal on commentary. So I'm afraid that's probably where he's going to end up full time. In the near future. I hope I'm wrong, because I love Samoa Joe in the ring, but he is great on commentary. So if they do go that route with him, obviously if that's what he wants to do, then more power to him, because he could have a great career as an announcer. So we'll have to wait and see if we see Joe back in the ring anytime soon. Saw another return on Monday Night Raw. Jinder Mahal made his comeback from injury, and was dominant in his match. So there's mixed reaction, mixed feelings when it comes to Jinder Mahal. For me personally, I like him. I liked his reign as WWE champion. There's kind of a built-in storyline here, because WWE champion right now is Drew McIntyre. Of course, both of them formerly members of 3MB, along with Heath Slater, who was recently released. But I think a match, or a rivalry or whatever, however you want to do it, between Jinder and Drew McIntyre, if they build up to it right and stuff like that, I mean, it writes itself. They have a history. This is the story of two guys who were basically a joke at one point as part of 3MB, get released from the company, go out and make their names, get themselves in a better place mentally, physically, professionally, and come back and become champions. So, I think it would be just a natural progression to have them face each other at some point. So hopefully WWE will go that direction, because I think that it'd make a pretty good story on TV. Some more Money in the Bank news from Monday night. Apollo Crews apparently was injured. I believe it's a storyline injury, though, and is no longer in the Money in the Bank match. So coming up this Monday, there's going to be a last chance gauntlet match for that last spot in the men's Money in the Bank. So we'll have to see. Yeah, have to see how that's going to play out. There was also some talk about AJ Styles returning to Monday Night Raw this coming week, so I have a feeling he may end up somehow in that gauntlet match and possibly in the men's Money in the Bank match. We'll have to see how that one plays out. Saw some more from MVP. Now it's been said a little bit over the last few weeks that MVP was looking to create his own kind of stable. Made a pitch to Edge to be part of that, and got put to sleep for his trouble. But now it looks like he's going to be managing Shane Thorne and Brendan Vick, who in a backstage segment with MVP laid down a challenge to the new tag team, relatively new tag team of Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. So that would be, with those four guys, I think that would be a fantastic tag team match. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. I'm sure we're going to see it sometime in the next couple of weeks. Moving on to NXT. Had Charlotte's kind of re-debut in NXT as the NXT Women's Champion, her first match back on NXT TV in a little while, and taking on Mia Yim. Great match with these two, and I thought Mia Yim should have won the match, but I get what they're doing. They're going to make Charlotte look like the dominant champion. You had Io Shirai come out after the match. Of course, she is the number one contender for the NXT Women's title. So had a little bit of a face-off with Io and Charlotte, and apparently that match is going to be coming up next week. Charlotte taking on Io Shirai for the NXT Women's title. Now that one was supposed to originally be taking place at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, but apparently those plans have changed. We also saw the kind of re-debut of Candice LeRae as a heel on NXT. So it looks like her and Johnny Gargano are going full on heel, and I'm liking it so far. I'm interested to see where both of them are going to go. Also next week we found out on NXT we're going to have the NXT Championship match between Velveteen Dream and Adam Cole. Adam Cole has been NXT champion for a long time. This may be where he drops that title, but I really don't think so. I think Cole is probably going to retain. I mean, I could be wrong. Obviously, I don't know what the writers or the bookers are doing, but I think Cole is going to retain. I don't think we're going to see a title change quite yet, because they could drag this rivalry out quite a bit longer, especially with the speculation that they're going to start allowing some live crowds coming up here pretty soon. From what I've heard, they're going to allow basically 25% capacity for stuff like that. So say, if the Performance Center can hold 100 fans, they'll let in 25. So I don't know if they'll do any major title changes or anything like that until that starts. But who knows? We may see a new NXT champion, or we may see Adam Cole continue his lengthy reign. Also next week, we're going to see the debut of Karrion Kross, formerly known as Killer Kross, and Scarlett Bordeaux. So now the last time we saw them on NXT TV, they were taking out Tommaso Ciampa in the backstage area. So I'm very interested to see. I would assume that's going to be his first rivalry, is going to be Tommaso Ciampa. So I'm looking forward to that, because the two of them could put on a ridiculously good match. Some updates on the interim cruiserweight championship tournament standings for Group A. We saw Drake Maverick pick up his first victory in the tournament over Tony Nese. So Maverick now is 1-1, and Tony Nese is 0-2. So Tony Nese pretty much out of it at this point, I would say. But it could. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I'd say Tony Nese pretty much eliminated at this point. So in Group A, we've got Kushida at 1-0, Jake Atlas at 1-0, Drake Maverick at 1-1, and Tony Nese at 0-2. Group B, we had Isaiah Swerve Scott taking on El Hijo del Fantasma. Scott was victorious in that, so Scott and Fantasma now both sitting at 1-1. Akira Tozawa is 1-0, so he is pretty much the leader in Group B, and Jack Gallagher is 0-1. So I would think that'll probably be the next match we'll see, is Tozawa versus Gallagher. Moving on to SmackDown, we saw Otis and Carmella both qualify for the Money in the Bank ladder matches, so they'll be part of that fiasco that's going to be taking place at the WWE corporate headquarters. We also found out Jeff Hardy's going to be returning next week. Now they've been running vignettes on Jeff Hardy the last several weeks, kind of just going through his story, his beginnings, his rise, his fall, his even touching on his legal issues, his recent injury, and now making his comeback to SmackDown. And Sheamus has been kind of basically getting on Michael Cole's case about talking about Jeff Hardy so much. So I think it's pretty obvious we're going to see Sheamus and Jeff Hardy rivalry coming up. I would say starting this coming Friday. Also, we saw Sonya Deville was the one who cost Mandy Rose her qualifying match for the Money in the Bank against Carmella, and I like this Sonya and Mandy storyline a lot. Sonya Deville is really kind of coming into her own as a singles heel, and just kind of making Mandy Rose's life hell right now. And we saw Mandy take a pretty good beatdown from Sonya, and I'm definitely here for this one. I have always been a fan of Sonya Deville ever since the Tough Enough competition, and I like the split that they orchestrated with her and Mandy, and I like the direction it's going right now. So I think Sonya is going to be, a top star in the SmackDown Women's division coming up here. So I'm sure we're going to be seeing a match with her and Mandy coming up very, very soon. Also, kind of a surprise on SmackDown, the Forgotten Sons, who just debuted on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago, picked up a victory over the New Day. So it looks like the Forgotten Sons are going to be pushed pretty good on SmackDown, which I like. I like the Forgotten Sons as a team. There's a lot of hate online for the Forgotten Sons. I really don't know why. I think as a group, as a tag team, I like their style, I like their gimmick, I like the look of the team, I like their in-ring work. So I'm here for the Forgotten Sons versus the New Day. I'm pretty sure we're going to see Forgotten Sons as tag team champions on SmackDown. I would say within just a matter of months at the most, I think. Some miscellaneous WWE news. Found out earlier this week that Gerald Briscoe was furloughed. Now, it was originally reported that he was released, as in fired or completely let go from the company, but he got online and corrected that pretty quickly. Then he was furloughed. This is happening everywhere. Obviously, people are being laid off or furloughed, as they call it. But Gerald Briscoe, kind of a surprise. He's been with the company forever. It is what it is. I mean, and he's another one, kind of like what I said along the lines of Mike Chioda. Maybe he volunteered for it. Who knows? Maybe he volunteered to be furloughed so that somebody else didn't have to be. So, you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes or the rhyme or reason behind some of these decisions, but it is what it is. Gerald Briscoe was furloughed. Found out that Cain Velasquez was released. A little bit of a surprise there. I mean, he only had one WWE match against Brock Lesnar. But he did, if you believe the rumor and innuendo, he did generate some heat for himself backstage just by, some stuff that I don't think it was anything he did purposely. I think it was just a matter of him not knowing that he shouldn't do that stuff. Like, he posted a picture of himself and Ronda Rousey from the WWE headquarters several months ago after he was signed. But there were conflicting stories, whether that generated some heat for him or whether, people just saw it for what it was. They put up a picture of him and Ronda, so whatever. But Cain Velasquez has been released by WWE. And so has Curtis Axel. Not a big surprise. Axel was one that was reported with the first wave of releases, but it was never confirmed by WWE. It was confirmed this week that Curtis Axel has been released. Didn't hear anything about his tag team partner, Bo Dallas. I mean, he was another one that was reported in that first wave, but never confirmed. So, as far as I know, Bo Dallas still part of WWE, but Curtis Axel has been released. There's also a story going around that WWE is pretty much willing to grant releases to anybody who wants one at this point. As part of their cost-cutting measures. I think it's pretty common knowledge WWE was offering some big money contracts to people who were not getting a whole lot of TV time, basically to keep them away from AEW or any other companies. Not the best business practice to just kind of be throwing money at people and not getting a return on your investment just to keep them away from your competition. But that's apparently what they were doing, and now it's kind of coming back to bite them a little bit. That's why we're seeing so many releases in the last couple of weeks from WWE. But apparently WWE is willing to grant releases to more or less anybody who asks for one. I mean, I don't think they're going to release Roman Reigns if he were to come and ask for it right now, because he's one of their top guys. But within reason, apparently they're willing to grant releases to anybody who asks for it right now. Some interesting news on the corporate side of WWE. Apparently they are being sued by a group of investors, just for some, not acting in the best interest of the company is one thing that I read. Because of some stuff with the Saudi Arabia shows and stuff like that. In the corporate world, this is not a big deal. Stuff like this happens pretty frequently, I believe. But WWE and Vince McMahon being sued by some of their investors. And another kind of interesting note from this past week, Dutch Mantel, who, is not employed by WWE right now, but obviously, has a lot of friends there. And if you're not familiar with who Dutch Mantel is, if you remember Zeb Coulter from WWE, he managed Jack Swagger. That's Dutch Mantel. Been in the business very, very long time, and both in the ring, behind the scenes, creative, that kind of stuff. But anyway, Dutch Mantel has been saying that WWE is in negotiations to sell the company and the network to either ESPN or Fox, or ESPN and Fox. I don't know how that would work, if one would get the company, one would get the network, or what. But, there's been stories about WWE being for sale for years, and it's obviously never come true. So I would take that with a grain of salt. I'm sure they get offers all the time from other companies, because WWE, I mean, it's a cash cow. They make money, So of course there's going to be interest from other corporations that want to buy them out and get that WWE income, so to speak. So, like I said, take that for a grain of salt until there's an announcement made that yes, WWE is being sold to so and so. I mean, from the two, ESPN or Fox. I mean, ESPN. I don't know. I can't see Vince McMahon selling the WWE, especially after losing the XFL the way that he did, But if he were to sell it, I mean, it'd be a huge transaction. But like I said, take it with a grain of salt. There's been stories like this circulating for years about WWE being sold to somebody. I mean, I've even seen stories about Disney wanting to buy the WWE. I don't think that would be a good thing, quite honestly. But we'll have to see if there's any truth to this particular rumor. So that's it for WWE news for right now, and I am going to play another interview for you guys, and this is from another Warrior Wrestling show, which I think all of these interviews are from Warrior Wrestling shows that I'm playing for you guys. But this was after All Out here in Chicago last year, and it was this is the first interview with Wardlow after his signing with AEW was announced at the All Out pay-per-view. He was at the Warrior Wrestling show that took place the following night, and like I said, it's the first interview that he gave after it was announced that he was a part of AEW. So here is my interview with Wardlow.
Of course, I think everybody saw last night you are the newest AEW acquisition. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So, I don't even know if you can answer this, but when can we expect to see you in an AEW ring?
Very soon.
Sounds good to me. So, I gotta tell you, I first saw you here at Warrior Wrestling, and you won me over instantly. Just your size, your skill. So how? How did that all come together with AEW?
It's kind of the perfect storm. Britt Baker and I came up together in IWC in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So her and I started off together. We've been friends for years. So she put in a good word the same time they heard my name from somebody else, the same time they heard my name come from somebody else. Mm-hmm. So eventually they heard my name enough times to where they said, let's give this guy a look.
Awesome.
And then the rest is history.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I actually was speaking to Cody earlier today, and I mentioned, heard him mention your name on JR's podcast when he basically said, we're going to be going on a quote-unquote hoss hunt. And yours was the only name he mentioned specifically. I'm like, just send him a contract. Just throw money at him.
Yeah, they went on a hoss hunt, and they found a superstar.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, if you guys have not seen this guy in the ring, I've seen him take on Moose. I've seen him take on Brian Cage. And, I actually think Cody said it best, or Steve here at Warrior Wrestling. 5 years, everybody's going to know your name. And I honestly believe that. So I appreciate you stopping by. I know you got your table here, meeting and greeting fans, but I appreciate you taking a few seconds to answer a couple of questions.
Thank you.
All right. Wardlow, newest AEW acquisition.
All right, so that was my interview with Wardlow, Mr. Mayhem, the heavy for MJF in AEW. Again, and I know I've talked about this with Steve Tortorello, the promoter for Warrior Wrestling, on the show before. The character he portrays on TV is just menacing, monstrous heel, but to meet him and talk to him in person, he's again a very gracious, very humble, just a good guy. I mean, I honestly enjoyed talking to him. A few words we had before the interview and after the interview, he is one. I am a big fan of Wardlow. I think you guys know that by now, as much as I've talked about him on the show. and he's one that I am expecting to be a huge star in AEW in the very, very near future. So talking about AEW, this past week on Dynamite, the big story was the semifinals for the TNT Championship Tournament. We saw Cody Rhodes defeat Darby Allin to move into the finals, and as I talked about earlier in the match of the week, we saw Lance Archer defeat Dustin Rhodes to move into the finals. So the finals for the TNT title, which are going to take place at the Double or Nothing pay-per-view, is Cody Rhodes versus Lance Archer. And this one's been pretty much building since Lance Archer came into the company with Jake the Snake Roberts. They said right off the bat that they were going after Cody Rhodes. So this is kind of the culmination of that, and I'm looking at Lance Archer to be the first TNT champion. Would not surprise me at all. He has been just completely decimating anybody he gets in the ring with. They've built him to be kind of this unstoppable monster heel. But AEW, they could go the opposite direction with it and put the title on Cody and continue the rivalry with him and Archer. So we'll have to see. But my initial pick for the TNT Championship is Lance Archer to be your first champion. Getting into some Impact news, we had Rebellion Night 2 this past week, and we saw the debut of Nevaeh. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with her, if you watch WoW, she also appears on WoW. Her name there is Hazard. She's the tag team partner of Jessica Havoc. The spot that she appeared in on Rebellion was during the match between Havoc and Rosemary, and she just kind of stood in the stands and observed the match. But I would assume she's there. She will be continuing her association with Havoc. It just seems natural. They're tag team partners on the Indies, tag team partners in WoW. So it only makes sense that they would keep them together in Impact, because I think a lot of your independent fans who are familiar with the two of them are going to expect that. So we'll have to see how that is going forward. But the big story from Rebellion Night 2 was the world title match that took place at the end of the show. Now, the original main event was supposed to be Tessa Blanchard defending the Impact World Championship against Michael Elgin and Eddie Edwards. Well, Tessa Blanchard and Eddie Edwards were not at the tapings. They were both, at home in, self-quarantining, things like that. So Michael Elgin came to the ring and was basically going to declare himself champion by way of a forfeit. And we saw Moose come out with the TNA World Heavyweight Championship belt. And, we ended up having a triple threat match. Hernandez came out as well afterwards. We ended up having a triple threat match with Hernandez, Michael Elgin, and Moose. Moose was victorious and pretty much declared himself the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. So I'm wondering if this is what we're gonna have until Tessa Blanchard comes back. Looks like Moose is going to be defending the TNA World Championship until we get Tessa back with the Impact World Championship, and I would assume it's going to lead to a match between the two of them, and ultimately I think they're going to probably unify those two titles in that way, in a match between Moose and Tessa Blanchard. So we'll have to wait and see, but kind of an interesting twist with Impact. I mean, they're making the best of what they got right now, and I'm curious to see where this is going to go. I mean, it's definitely going to make me keep watching and see, how the TNA Championship is going to be used going forward. Some news out of MLW this past week. They're going to be releasing an anthology series on BN Sports, and I would hope that it's going to be on their YouTube channel as well, because I'm interested in seeing it. I don't get BN Sports with the TV package that I have, but basically just kind of going back to their beginnings back in 2002, and just kind of the history of MLW. So I would really, really, really want to check that out. I'm hoping they put it on their YouTube channel, because MLW was not one that I was able to see back in 2002. It wasn't wasn't shown here in Chicago, so I wasn't able to see the early days of MLW. I know a lot of big name stars came through there back in those days, like Dusty Rhodes, CM Punk made appearances there. They had a group called the Extreme Horsemen with Steve Corino and C.W. Anderson, and so it's really something I want to check out this month. The MLW Anthology series that's going to be coming out. So that's pretty much it for news and rumors for the week. And right now I'm going to show you guys another interview from Warrior Wrestling 8 that I had with independent star Warhorse. Got to say it all caps like he says. And yeah, again, really cool guy. It was first chance I had gotten to see him live, and he did not disappoint. So yeah, check out my interview from Warrior Wrestling 8 with Warhorse.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Tom with Catch, Hook, and Shoot. I am here at the Warrior Wrestling Fan Fest talking to Warhorse.
Warhorse, gotta say it in all caps. Warhorse.
Warhorse.
That's right, Warhorse.
All right, I am now educated. And tonight you're taking on the Ego Robert Anthony.
Yeah.
So how are you going to approach that, especially with Frank the Clown?
It's not so much the big ego, it's the little clown. I want to see if the carpets match the drapes. If you catch my drift, I got to see what color's going on up there, if it's going on somewhere else, because I'm going to rule his ass if he gets near that ring. And then whenever the big ego gets near the ring, I'm going to take the little one, shove him in the big one, so that way he's like a fighting Mechazord, and then it's going to be a big-ass epic robot fight in the middle of that ring.
That sounds absolutely terrifying, to be honest with you.
No, it's going to be cool.
Oh, no, it sounds cool as hell, but it sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it's going to be live on Fight TV, too.
Yes, it is, and it's also going to be live on the Podbean app, because I'm broadcasting that.
Yeah, it's going to rule ass.
Yes, it is. Well, thank you very much for your time. I know you got fans wanting to see you and stuff, but Warhorse here at Warrior Wrestling. Thank you very much.
Hell yeah.
All right, so that is my interview with Warhorse from Warrior Wrestling 8. Again, I cannot thank these wrestlers enough for taking just a few minutes of their time to talk to me, be on the show, and stuff like that. Always a great experience when I get to talk to any wrestlers, be it independent, Hall of Famers, whatever. It's always a pleasure, always an honor for them to allow me to take just a little bit of their time and talk to them, especially on the show. So thank you to Warhorse for that interview. So moving on to the next segment in the show for some indie news, and also for kind of a recap review of Lucha Underground is Charlie G, and this is your Indie Cut.
Thank you, Tom, on Happy 100 Shows. Here's to 100 more. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. Hey, the wrestling fans. I am Charlie G with your Indie Cut. There was very little indie wrestling action again this week to recap, so let's get to it. With Week 2 of the AAA Empty Arena Lucha Fighter Tournament, live on April 25th. The big surprises this week were the reveals of Pentagon, who came out to open the show, and LA Park as participants. First match was Big Mommy defeating Vanilla. Vanilla started off with a lot of aggression and controlled most of the match until missing a flying senton. Big Mommy scooped Vanilla up for a gory special slam to win. After the match, Lady Maravilla ran to beat up Big Mommy. Fabi Apache came in to save and chased Maravilla away. And speaking of Lady Maravilla, she is next against Kyra. Maravilla, who dyed her hair light brown, brought her mixed tag belt with her. She then grabbed a mic, saying she will hold the titles with Viano III Jr. for many years to come, and the tournament trophy will be coming with her. For the match, was good with plenty of counters and neat submissions. Maravilla took charge in the end with a swinging neckbreaker off the ropes, rolled Kyra over into a snap suplex, then stacked her with a genie submission for the win. A very cool move. Nice to see some different moves from these two ladies. At the end, the two ladies shook hands after the match. Big Mommy came out for payback. She clotheslined both ladies, hit a corner smash on Kyra, and tackled Maravilla. Looks like the feud between Mommy and Maravilla is far from over. Next up was Lady Shani defeating Fabi Apache. Both well-known women in Lucha Libre, and right now both technicals, if you might say, the good guys, or good women. They both look strong in the match, going back and forth. Lady Shani took charge, putting Fabi in a camel clutch. Then a powerbomb rolled into a bridging pin to win. Kind of quick match between these two, though. Next up was Chessman defeating Mr. C's Jr. This match was a bit of loose rules, as Chessman used a cookie sheet to ground Mr. C's early on. At the end, Mr. C's hit a 450 splash, but Chessman grabbed the ropes on the cover at that point, Mr. C's looked a little out of it, but still went for a moonsault. Chessman got his boot up to counter and hit a spear to win. After the match, as medical attendant to Mr. C's, a Laredo Kid attacked Chessman, which I have no idea why. And then Carter Brower Jr. came up to help, but that didn't matter to Laredo, as he took them both out with a somersault plancha off the turnbuckles. Then it was LA Park defeating Laredo Kid. Park grabbed the mic to shout at Triple A to give him luchadors that want to battle, and Laredo Kid answered that call. Park attacked Laredo on his entrance, of course, in what was another loosened rules match. Park used a chair numerous times, but Laredo fired back with his aerial assault. However, in the end, Park sort of speared Laredo in flight. A big running knee knocked Laredo out of the ring. As he came back in, Park hit a double hung DDT and a big spear for the win. After the match, Park called out Triple A again for the lack of competition. He wants luchadors with more fight. Park also threatened announcers because he can't. Then it was Pagano defeating Octagon Jr. in yet another quick match of power versus speed. Octagon missed a 450 splash as Pagano grabbed Octagon for a reverse suplex, bouncing off the ropes for the win. Of course, after the match, Chessman attacked Pagano with a spear and cookie sheet. Chessman was making a statement about their future hair versus hair fight at Triple Mania 28, if the show even happens. In the main event, it was Pentagon defeating Nino Hamburguesa. Pentagon used chair shots violently early on. Hamburguesa's heft kept him in the match, even connecting with a bowling ball in the corner, and then attempted a flying splash, but Pentagon rolled out of the way. Pentagon grabbed Nino's arm and did the snap arm breaker. He wasn't done there, hitting a flying double stomp for the win. Afterward, Pentagon grabbed the mic, saying big tournaments need big stars. He's proud to see Hamburguesa's effort and sorry that he was in the way. Pentagon gave Nino recognition for his growth in AAA. Put whoever against Pentagon and he will come with all he's got, zero miedo. The show was good once again, but the use of weapons and post-match scuffles was a bit too much for a tournament, in my view, though it gave the fact AAA is back running normally. Only one can hope, right? Then Limitless Pandemic at the Dojo 5 from April 27th. Antoine Nichols defeated Armani Chaos. Eric Johnson defeated Frank Yeager. Nick Stapp defeated Love Doug. And Ava Everett tagged with Divine, defeating Stephen Azure and Steve Somerset. Then All Japan had a show on April 30th. DDT had a show on May 2nd. So it seems like they're back kind of running, but not as much as usual. And Black Label Pro had yet another Fire Pro Wrestling special on YouTube May 2nd, so look that up if you can. And now, to the Throwback Machine and my Lucha Underground recap. As I said last week, this was one of my favorite shows of wrestling. It was a little out there with good matches, high-flying, grounded matches, and a bit of cinematography at times, which led to a real cool aspect. No interviews. They're all just like in the locker room doing their own thing, so it was always a cool thing to see. Lucha Underground started on October 29th, 2014, and technically ended October 31st, 2018, with 127 episodes on the El Rey Network, or on the Tubi TV free. So I will try to do 2 episodes a week depending on how the independent scene goes and how much is in each episode. So let's begin with episode 1, Welcome to the Temple. As I said, on October 29th, 2014. There was a beginning video showing the promoter in the AAA ring signing a contract, and a brief cinematic view of the wrestlers to come during the season. Then we get to see the gorgeous Melissa Santos and the announcers Matt Striker and Vampiro. To me, these two are great. I enjoy Matt Striker. I know most don't. I do. He does Lucha Libre matches really well. And Vampiro's Vamp. He's just awesome no matter what. So then the owner and promoter, Dario Cueto, opens his doors to the best fighters from around the world, giving them the opportunity to either kick ass or get their ass kicked. The one who impresses him the most will get a signing bonus of $100,000 that night. We begin with match 1 of Blue Demon Jr. defeating Chavo Guerrero Jr. in a nice solid match to start the series. With Rick Knox as the referee. Yes, that's Rick Knox of AEW fame. Blue Demon is still wrestling in AAA. And Chavo, I'm not really sure what he's up to. I'm sure he's a producer somewhere. So the Demon won with a sharpshooter arm hold submission. I've never really seen that before, other than this show. After a break, Dario talks to Conan in his office about their highly touted luchadors. Dario's man, the biggest free agent, is Johnny Mundo, otherwise known as John Morrison right now. And then after the break, Striker and Vampiro bring up Prince Puma, who is now known as Ricochet, and his hype video shows while Conan dictates it. Match number 2 is Son of Havoc defeating Sexy Star. Son of Havoc is actually Matt Cross. At that time, I did not know. I didn't know a lot of these people in this at the time. Because 2014, I just started getting into more wrestling other than the usual WWE. Sexy Star is now in Combate Sports, which is MMA, and does pretty well for herself there. As I said, Son of Havoc defeated Sexy Star. Before the match began, Sexy Star's video is showing about her journey. Havoc grabs the mic and tells Star to leave the ring, get counted out, and live to fight another day. It was pretty quick. The show Havoc won with a backbreaker and slight pull of the tights. After the break, Dario talks to Chavo about his disappointment and to bring in someone who can finish the job since he couldn't, claiming once he is there, he can do nothing to stop him, and that 1,000 deaths might be coming for them all. Very interesting and compelling at that time. In the main event, it was Johnny Mundo defeating Prince Puma with Conan in his corner. So this is actually John Morrison versus Ricochet back in 2014. The referee was Marty Elias, who was a regular on the West Coast scene. Mundo landed a standing Spanish fly to his fin de mundo for the win. This is a pretty good lucha match between the two. They got to show off their talents. Both got a standing ovation from the temple. Dario comes out to give Johnny the $100,000, saying he earned it, only to try and pull it away, allowing 3 thugs to beat down both Mundo and Puma. Turns out they worked for Dario, taking the briefcase and the money. Next was episode 2, Los Demonos, on November 5th, 2014. Let's see. The show starts with the 3 thugs from the previous episode introducing themselves to the temple, as Johnny Mundo interrupts along with Prince Puma, leading Dario Cueto to make them the opening match of the night. The 3 men were Cortez Castro, Mr. Cisco, and Big Rick. This was a fun athletic tag match between all 4 men, and really where I became a big fan of Prince Puma. Both Mundo and Puma did a 450 splash at the same time from different corners to pin both Castro and Cisco, as Big Rick sat in the stands smoking his cigar. What do you say? After a break, Conan hypes up Puma in the locker room, telling him not to trust Mundo. Striker then announces the new luchador that Dario is bringing in to deal with Blue Demon Jr. is Mil Muertes, which translates into 1,000 deaths. A hype video is shown, narrated by some mystery woman. Match 2 is Chavo Guerrero Jr. and Sexy Star defeating Son of Havoc and Evilise. Evilise was actually part of Tough Enough, and this is where she headed afterwards, which I thought was pretty cool. This is an intergender tag match, so that anyone can fight anyone. This was a nice match with Chavo hitting a frog splash, then tagging in Sexy Star for a twisting roll-up for the win, to redeem herself from the previous week. After a break... Oh, wait, I missed something there. I don't know, I'm okay. After a break, Blue Demon Jr. is seen warming up for his big match, when a mysterious woman named Katrina, also from early NXT, as an associate of Mil Muertes, came in to give a message, which is the lick of death. Yet another hype video is shown for Prince Puma and how Conan found him and how he knew he was the one to mentor. In the main event, it's Mil Muertes with Katrina defeating Blue Demon Jr. Kind of a short, hard-hitting match with Mil hitting a spear and then a flatliner for the win. After the match, Mil Muertes looked to beat up Blue Demon Jr. more until Chavo came out to save him. But then Chavo hit Demon in the head with a chair. As the referees came out to help, Chavo punched both of them down, hit 2 more wrestlers with the chair, and finally Sexy Star came down to ask why, only to be hit as well. Great episodes 1 and 2. They really they really got me. It was hard to watch El Rey Network back then, so I had to really watch on Daily Motion. I'm glad there is Tubi showing this right now for free, so if you want to catch it, please do. It's worth your time, trust me. So that's a wrap for me. Till next time with the trip, where I will recap the AAA show and any indie wrestling news that comes along the way. Don't forget to look at those Twitch streams and YouTube channels for any other wrestling content. Thank you for watching or listening. Hope you enjoyed the cut. Stay safe, take care everyone, and keep wearing your masks, dumbasses. Back to you, Tim.
All right, thanks a lot, Charlie. Again, I appreciate everything that Charlie contributes to the show. He is kind of my indie guru. I really really enjoy having him as part of the show with the Indie Cut and doing commentary with me at the Warrior Wrestling shows, and kind of, you know, just he's been a huge supporter of the show from day one. Now he's a part of the show, and you know, like he said, you know, hopefully here's to 100 more episodes, and I hope Charlie will be a part of each and every one of them. I appreciate everything that he has done and contributed to the show. So, next up on the show is another one of the interviews that I've had, and this is probably the one that I am the most proud of. My all-time favorite interview, probably definitely the biggest interview that I have had with a WWE Hall of Famer, the hardcore legend Mick Foley. Again, this was from a Warrior Wrestling show where he made an appearance and was gracious enough to give me a couple of minutes of his time. And here is my interview with hardcore legend WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley.
Hello, this is Catchhookshoot, and I am standing here with the hardcore legend WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley. Thank you for stopping by. I'm a bit overwhelmed.
Really? Why?
Because you're Mick freaking Foley.
Yeah, but you guys are set up here at the epicenter of this Warrior Wrestling event.
So you're answering Frank the Clown's hardcore challenge tonight.
Yeah.
How's that gonna go?
We shall see.
I
Something
imagine
tells me it's not going to be on the next Greatest Hits DVD, but I'll try to make it fun. I don't know about Frank.
Oh, I've rarely seen anything that you do not be fun,
Thanks.
including the 24/7 championship. I loved it.
Thank you.
But I imagine Frank not your most favorite person in the world. So it should be interesting. I did see him on the Holy Foley show. And
Yeah, he was very good on Holy Foley.
So
very good.
He's a mainstay here at Warrior Wrestling.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are going to be looking forward to him kind of getting put in his place a little bit.
Think so? Most of the guys in the dressing room?
And in the stands, for that matter. Myself
I understand
included.
he does a very good job in his role.
Yeah, he is a good heel. I will say
Right.
that. He's great at making people hate him.
So, yeah, he did it to me. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you got a lot of people that are going to be waiting to see you, but I really do appreciate you stopping
What's
by.
your cologne? You smell tremendous.
That is actually, it's a brand called Cremo. They make like beard oil and things
Really?
like that. And I think it's their Reserve scent, it's called.
Reserve scent. I never needed cologne more than yesterday. At I was wearing a new flannel shirt and a new T-shirt, and sometimes just perspiration with a new shirt can chemically change the way you. That's my excuse. I don't want to admit deep in my heart that it was I who smelled, but I think it was in fact. I think it was me. It was me. All right, I gotta go. That's the truth you got out of me.
If I can get one last question
what is
out
it?
of
All
you.
right, what is it?
Did you watch All Out last night?
I watched some of it.
Did you happen to see the hardcore match with Janela and Darby
I
Allin?
did not. No, I heard it was outstanding though.
It was. I wanted to get your opinion on that, but you haven't seen it yet. So, okay. Well, then
I saw
will,
clips of it.
Yeah, it was insane. There were broken Cracker Barrels everywhere.
That's I saw a little bit of that. I've seen Darby Allin in action several times. And that kid's phenomenal.
Yes,
Young
to say
man.
the least.
I don't want to call him a kid.
But all right, well, I will let you get back to your fans. I know they're waiting on you.
More importantly, I'm seeing people dressing up like him at shows. Good indicator that he has already taken off and will continue to do so.
Yeah, when they're cosplaying you, you've pretty well made it.
Right. Have a nice day.
Thank you so very much.
So that was my interview with Mick Foley, and I've been extremely lucky with some of the interviews that I've been able to land on this show. And like I said, guys, I'm just a fan who decided to start up a podcast because I just love talking about pro wrestling. And I don't claim to be a reporter. I don't claim to be an insider or to have inside knowledge of the business or anything like that. I'm just a very lifelong wrestling fan. I've been following and studying and just learning about professional wrestling for, as much as I hate to say it, close to 40 years. And it's just a passion of mine, and this gives me the opportunity to kind of share that passion with the world and just to contribute in some small way to the wrestling business as a fan. And, I love doing this show for you guys every week. I'm going to continue doing it as long as I possibly can. And, again, I thank everybody who tunes in every week and checks out the show and listens to my rantings and ramblings about pro wrestling. So I thank you guys so much. So the last segment of the show here is a brand new interview for you guys from one of the first people I ever had on the show for an interview, and it's a brand new interview with Trap Ganbino, talking about his MMA debut, which was supposed to take place last week, but obviously got pushed back because of everything going on. But talking about his upcoming MMA debut, talking about pro wrestling, just having a conversation, and so it's always a pleasure talking to him. He and his wife Ashley have been supporters of mine pretty much from day one, and I appreciate just every shout out I get from them on social media, every like, every share. I appreciate all the support that they've given me, and I always appreciate it when they take time out of their day to come on the show and talk to me about whatever's going on with them, with their careers, or just like I said, like with this interview, just to sit down and bullshit for a little while. So here is my brand new interview with Trap Ganbino. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tom with Catch, Hook, and Shoot, and I am talking right now live via Skype with MMA fighter, Las Vegas personality, all-around entertainer, Trap Ganbino. How you doing today, man?
How you doing, brother? Cannot complain. I mean, I can, but who the
Yeah,
fuck would listen?
Yeah, exactly. Who'd listen? So, man. I mean, with all this quarantine and stuff going on, I know there's not a whole lot going on. But you were supposed to have your MMA debut just a couple days ago here, and of course, I know that got scrapped. But talk about that a little bit. Like, how did that come about, and your opponent, and that kind of thing?
So actually, at first, I had a fight scheduled with Ryan Gilbert for May. I think it was 2nd or May 5th. I think May 5th actually, and then I had a fight scheduled on top of that. I had a fight scheduled for Rise fighting in Florida on April 25th. So I was kind of going to do 2 fights back to back. And my second opponent kind of got mad at that and backed out. So I had the one fight to focus on, which, a lot of people told me that guy was going to back out anyway. So whatever. I have one fight to focus on. I've been focused on that fight, but unfortunately, because of this Corona bullshit, it was delayed. So we're hoping to do it around like July 5th. July 5th is on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a hell of a good fireworks show. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. It'd be a good weekend for it. Hopefully, stuff's open back up again by then, where it can take place.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Down in Florida, so.
Oh yeah, and I guess it's bad that the fight had to get postponed, but on the flip side of that, it gives you that much more time to train.
More time to train, more time to focus on what I need to focus on, and I know it sounds weird, but them taking away my work from me actually helps me with this fight because as Americans, the government pretty much took all of our work and said, "Here's some money to pay for your bills."
Mm-hmm.
As a martial artist, that's like a fucking dream, you know what I mean? Because then you just get to focus on training and nothing else, and not work, and I ain't got to worry about rent. I got to worry about any kind of bills. I just got to train and focus on whooping this dude's ass.
Yeah, exactly. I've been seeing, the videos you've been posting online and of your training and you and your wife training together and stuff like that. So it looks like you're getting getting ready for this guy coming up hopefully in July now.
Yeah, man. Even though it's quarantine, training at the house is nothing new to me because that's kind of how I first started anyways. And I have being blessed and being in Las Vegas, I have a lot of talented fighters that come over to my house and train with me, and I get really good work from a lot of people around here, man. So I'm blessed to, even though I'm in quarantine, I'm still getting the same kind of work I would, other than being in a cage, you know what I mean, or being on some mats. You just gotta go outside and hit the pads, go outside and spar a little bit. It's old school stuff, Rocky style.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was gonna say. Rocky training in the backyard and that kind of thing. So taking it real old school there.
Absolutely.
So now I know you always got a lot of stuff going on. You got your hands in a lot of pots, so to speak. So like what before the whole quarantine thing happened, I know you had a TV show going too, didn't you?
Yeah, that's actually it's still in the works with Vegas the network, and that's going to be a TV called Fight Talk with Pops and Gambino. I'm Gambino, and Pops is actually Aaron Phillips. I can't believe I forgot his name. He's going to hate me for that. So he's a media Hall of Famer. Aaron Phillips. I definitely shouldn't have forgot his name. And he's the host. I'm the co-host. It's going to be a fun show, man. He's really experienced in the media side of things. So he kind of brings me along and teaches me everything. I'm just kind of the color commentating sidekick that cracks jokes on the side. I'm lucky to be there, but yeah, man, it's a TV show. It's coming out on Vegas the network as soon as all this Corona bullshit is over with. Obviously, we filmed the pilot, and it's just a matter of time. Anything with the show business takes forever, man. I've done movies uh, in the beginning of my acting career that I still haven't seen yet, and it's gonna be a while until I see them. So
Yeah,
that's the way. Yeah,
everything's getting postponed now. So
yeah, especially now.
Vegas the network. Now that's a new one to me. Is that like a new cable network, or is that just local to Vegas, or?
I think it's a cable network. I'm pretty sure it's a cable. I know it's an actual it's a TV network. It's a new network that's gonna be on TV, and I think it's replacing Motor TV. I could
Okay.
be wrong though, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Excuse me. It's not the Corona, I promise.
No, I got that smoker's cough too. Every time,
Yeah, me
every
too.
every time somebody looks at me like, "Are you okay?" Yeah, I smoke this. I'm fine.
But is cigarettes or weed? Is
Oh,
weed's illegal there, right?
no, actually, they just legalized it in Illinois this year for recreational. It's
Oh,
been legal for medicinal, but no, I smoke cigarettes. I don't because of my regular work. I work as a contractor, so I get drug tested
oh,
fairly
oh, okay.
regularly. So, and it's
Yeah, I
still
understand that.
since it's illegal at the federal level, employers will still like let you go or not hire you for it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, over here it's just like have at it.
right. Yeah, I was never. I mean, I dabbled in it when I was a kid, but I was never a big pot smoker myself. I was one of those people that made me paranoid all the time. So,
Yeah, you know what? For me, marijuana is legit medicine, man. Like I'll have days where I'm so frustrated I just want to punch holes in the wall and throw my phone across the room and throw a remote at the TV or something. And
hmm
I'll smoke one joint or one blunt or one bong or whatever, and I'll feel 10 times better. So
yeah, and
to me, it really is medicinal.
oh yeah, and I got friends, same thing, whether it's for like anxiety or depression or pain management or, a whole bevy of things that it can be used for. So I do not, definitely don't frown upon anybody for, using that to uh, help them with whatever they might need help with in that area.
Yeah, I like to tell people I'm a prolific smoker because I smoke and I get shit done. I don't smoke and just sit there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's the stigma that a lot of people get with
Oh yeah,
smoking pot. It's like, oh, stoner sitting in front of the TV playing video games, eating Doritos. It's like, no, some
yeah.
people,
No,
actually
real
need it.
real stoners don't like to fuck up their high by eating afterwards. Real stoners eat before.
Yeah, see, never got to that level. With me, it was like I'd get a little paranoid. Then it's like, okay, I'm just going to bed.
Yeah, I
But
got my black belt in weed a long time ago.
yeah, I honestly I haven't touched it since I was like maybe 22 years old. So we're talking 20 years ago.
Oh
But
wow.
But yeah. So anyway, back to the sports talk, which is what this is supposed to be about. So
Yeah,
the TV show though. So is it like mostly MMA focused, or is it just all like combat sports
not
together?
at
Or?
all. It's basically so it's to promote Vegas. So for the
I
pilot
gotcha.
episode, we had actually a pro wrestler come on, who works for FSW, and all the what's the other big one? Big Valley Pro Wrestling here in Vegas, and
Okay.
a couple other big pro wrestling, well, indie pro wrestling shows here in Vegas. And so we're just focused on anything in Vegas. If it has to do with boxing in Vegas, combat, any combat sports, that's basically kind of what we're sticking to because I don't really know much about football and baseball and all that other stuff. I really don't even consider fighting a sport, but they do. So
Okay, yeah,
whatever.
I do remember seeing you posted some stuff too from a wrestling event that you went to. So you posted some video and stuff like that. This was a while back,
Yeah,
but
that was actually where I met that guy, and Aaron Phillips is a commentator for that show as well, Big Valley Pro Wrestling,
okay.
and those guys, man. So I showed up. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting much because I'm a wrestling fan, but I'm a wrestling fan from the '90s, and
Mm-hmm.
the mid to late '90s, maybe a little like 2002 was where I kind of cut out. You know what I mean? Right
Mm-hmm.
when the Attitude Era ended.
Yeah, yeah,
So when I watch wrestling nowadays, I'm just like, oh, this corny shit.
yeah.
You know, everybody's wearing fucking neon pink and coming out with unicorn dildos on their head, and I don't fucking like that
Oh,
shit.
you've seen the New Day.
Yeah, yeah, just that. Like I'm not like homophobic or anything, but they're just a little fugazi over there. And, so I go to a wrestling show and I'm not expecting much, man. But they blew it out the wall. I felt like I was watching like a Rawless War back in the '90s. They were going all out, man, and they did it in like a hockey arena. So like guys
Hmm.
were going out there in the hockey rink and beating each other's ass, throwing each other through the glass, and it was wild, man.
Yeah,
It re-sparked my love for wrestling. That's for sure.
some of the indie shows can get really crazy. Like I've been doing commentary for indie promotion here in Chicago, and the last show I was at, which was back in December, because of obvious reasons, but me and my buddy that does commentary with me, I mean, we actually had one of the female wrestlers get slammed into our table.
Oh, that's cool.
It
Yeah.
was. I was worried they were gonna smash up my equipment. I'm like, please don't. I'm covering everything up.
Yeah, see, when I judge for lingerie fighting championships, they have the table right on like the apron of
Hmm.
the ring. So I'm literally terrified the whole and it's just that little flimsy table. So
Right.
I'm terrified. I got Hennessy on the table, you know, we're all drinking, having fun, and I'm terrified somebody's gonna fall through that table. There's girls that came so close and knocking over my drink on my iPhone, and it's wild, man. Wrestling's wild. The last show I've been to was the ones that I judged at. So that's
Hmm.
it's kind of different wrestling though.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen. I follow LFC on Instagram. They actually follow me back, which was cool. But
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, no. I feel. I mean, I can see where some people are not real keen on WWE anymore because it is a lot more like family oriented and geared towards kids. A lot of the stuff is like the guys you're talking about, the New Day, obviously with the bright colors and
Right.
that kind of stuff. But honestly, I tell a lot of people because if that's not your cup of tea, definitely check out AEW, which is the new
Yeah.
national promotion run by Cody Rhodes, Dusty Rhodes' son.
Isn't that cool? That's so cool.
Yeah, he is an awesome guy. I actually had the pleasure of like sitting down, having a cigar with him, and talking to him for a little bit when he was in
Oh, that's
Chicago
cool.
last time. But that if WWE is not your cup of tea, AEW's want to check out because they brought a lot of those guys from the indies and they let them do their own thing. They don't dictate
Right.
as far as their characters and that kind of thing. So that's if
Yeah,
you're
when
if
you
you're
let guys have their imagination running wild, that's when things get crazy, you know.
yeah,
So
exactly.
I like wrestling like that. Yeah,
So
WWE lost me as a fan a while ago, man. I'm not gonna lie.
so I mean on that topic, since this is mostly a wrestling podcast. I mean, obviously you've got the MMA background. Is wrestling something you'd ever get into like down the line?
Man, so when I was a little kid, me and my cousin, who's now dead, uh, we used to do wrestling shows like, every kid did back in the day. Put some lawn chairs out, pretend that there's people in them, and, throw each other through cardboard, pretend that it's tables, and set the speakers up and come out from the garage, pretending like it's an entrance.
Mm-hmm.
And that I really feel like that's where it all started. I feel like this all started from wrestling because I don't know, I loved wrestling. I love the fact that I love the drama. I love the different characters. Everybody wants to be the best, and you know I just feel like I fit into that environment. So I probably would do wrestling. I would like to start as like a manager or something like that, you know, learn the ropes. But man, you got to do training for all that stuff. And I know it's harsh and you got to focus on, I would never disrespect like wrestling as in like to go in like Big Valley Pro Wrestling or something like that and just be like, oh, let me do it just because, you know, I've had a couple fights or anything like that.
Right.
They're going to put me in my place real quick. So
Yeah.
I'm not stupid. I would have to train it for a long time before I ever tried to do anything like that. But I would be down, man. I would be interested in doing it. It's
And
just
see that.
harsh,
Oh
harsh on
yeah.
the body.
Oh, definitely. And, you figure, and I like what you said about, respecting the wrestling business because a lot of people don't.
Right.
They take it as a joke, but they don't realize pro wrestling has no off season. These guys work, depending on what level they're at, up to 300 nights a year. And, yeah, it might be predetermined, meaning, the winners and losers are known beforehand, but you're
Right.
still getting slammed on that mat. You're still getting slammed on the
I
floor.
f-
You're still getting your head rammed into
yeah.
stuff.
I feel like
So,
it's way harsher on the body than any type of MMA training. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So there's a lot of wrestlers, or there's a lot of MMA fighters that went into pro wrestling, like Phil Baroni, Stephan Bonner, and you know, there's the list goes on.
Mhm.
Um, and these guys, it's just crazy how much. Like I never really paid much attention to indie wrestling until I had a couple friends that were MMA fighters that went into indie wrestling. I'm like, man, these guys, they bust their ass and they don't get
Mhm.
paid much. And the stuff that they do get paid from is from real dedicated fans. Like there's this fan base in wrestling that's like, it's hard to describe, man, but it's like, it's getting smaller, unfortunately. It seems like it's
Mhm.
getting smaller, like the hardcore fan base, but it's just like a passion that nobody else has. Like, for example, everybody on Instagram is a fucking celebrity nowadays. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Every other guy you see has 14 million followers. You're like, 14 million followers? I never even heard who the fuck this guy is.
Mhm.
And everybody thinks they're a celebrity. So like a lot of people meet celebrities and they don't go giddy over them like they used to, like in the 90s, for
Right.
example. Like I've been on movie sets and shit where I've been in movies with like other actors that, you know, weren't famous and shit too, like me. Like I'm fucking nobody to a lot of these movies, and we're on there with big sets, and I'm seeing these people just treat stars like they haven't used to. Like everybody thinks that they're a celebrity, so nobody really treats a celebrity like a celebrity until you go to wrestling shows,
Oh yeah.
and they'll treat those guys like gods. Like
Mhm.
I was at that LFC event, and oh, who was it, man? It was RVD. His wife was competing. RVD's wife was
Oh
competing
yeah,
at the
Katie
LFC
Forbes.
event.
Yeah.
Yeah, and first of all, damn, you know
Yeah.
what I
She wrestles with him in Impact now.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah.
she competed at LFC and she won, of course.
Mhm.
And yeah, who else was there, man? Teddy, oh fuck it, Teddy Hart. Teddy
Okay.
Hart was there, and they were just coming up to these guys like they were fucking gods, man. And I'm just like, man, I miss that type of passion. You know what I mean? Like these fans really, they watch these guys coming up from the bottom, and they treat them like how they should be treated. But it's rare to find that with fans nowadays. You know, if
Oh yeah.
if if a fan wanted to take a selfie with like Kanye West and Kanye said, I'm not in the mood today, that fan is gonna go and like write an article or a fucking form and trash
Mhm.
Kanye and talk all kind of, it's crazy, man. Like uh, it's just getting weird, but wrestling seems to hold that
Yeah, because
fan stuff
most
with it, you know.
I think a good majority of wrestling fans, they have that respect for the wrestlers. Then don't get me wrong, there's some that don't. There's some that are just they think the wrestlers owe them something for whatever reason. But a
Yeah.
majority of wrestling fans, they have that respect and they will, like if they ask to take a selfie and every wrestler I've ever met, every interaction I've ever had with a pro wrestler has been good. I've never had a wrestler be rude to me, never had him deny a picture or anything like that. And that's because, if you show them that respect, they're going to show you that common courtesy back. And I
Yeah.
think that's what a majority of it is. But like you were talking about, as far as a lot of MMA guys getting into wrestling, another one is Josh Barnett actually started his own promotion
Yeah.
called Bloodsport, which is kind of like a hybrid of MMA and pro wrestling. Like these are shoot
It's like
fights that he
pancrakes
puts
a
on.
little bit. I don't know if you
Yeah,
know what pancrakes is, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That was Ken Shamrock's thing
Yeah.
way back. But
That's a throwback right
yeah,
there.
but like and he's got a lot of these pro wrestlers. Like, well, Tom Lawler obviously was an MMA
Yeah,
fighter
he's
first,
in Vegas. He's out of Vegas here. So
but he's competed in Josh Barnett's company and this other wrestler named Killer Cross, who actually just signed with WWE. I believe I can't remember who he fought in Bloodsport, but he's had a lot of pro wrestlers come into Bloodsport that have like a fighting or martial arts type background because he's putting on like basically shoot fights.
So I got a question for you. How much do you follow MMA? Like, how much do you know?
Not a when it comes to MMA, I've always been, I guess you could call it a casual fan. Like I know
Yeah.
the big names like Randy Couture and
Did you know who
stuff like
Cain
that.
Velasquez was?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Bro,
yeah. I
what do you
saw.
think about him in wrestling now, man?
I I I don't have an issue with it. See, a lot of hardcore wrestling fans, they have a problem with people like Cain Velasquez and
Just
Ronda
jumping over.
Rousey, just coming over and just getting shot straight to the top.
Yeah.
But see, I look at it as, well, of course they're going to come over and get put in that main event spot because it's name recognition. These people already have that name that's going to sell tickets. And wrestling's a
Yeah.
business, especially
See,
WWE. It's a business.
yeah, see, I'm kind of in that same position. Like, I've never had an MMA fight before. I've never had a boxing fight before. No combat sports history ever. Never been a pro wrestler. Never anything like that. Yet, I'm
Hmm.
the main event in South Florida for the Rise Fighting Championship. I'm the main event for this card, and I'm headlining over a lot of guys that are more skilled than me.
Hmm.
And I have to acknowledge that and respect that. But at the same time, I didn't say, "Hey, I'm only gonna fight if I'm the main event." You know what I mean? I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna take advantage of the opportunities that I'm presented. But
Yeah.
it's like the CM Punk thing. Like CM Punk didn't ask to be on a card over Alstar Overeem and those guys. But if an opportunity is presented to you, why not take it, man? Like sometimes people have a name that's bigger than their skills. Like me, and as long as they admit it, as long as they are respectful about it, I don't see a problem with that. Ronda
Yeah.
Rousey
And
really surprised me, man. Her skills in the ring really surprised me. Skills on the
yeah.
mic, not so much.
No, you could tell she was uncomfortable on the microphone, but when she
Yeah.
made that turn to from being a good guy to a bad guy, from a baby face to a heel,
Yeah.
you could tell she was much more comfortable in that bad guy role because her mic skills improved. I'm not
Maybe
gonna say
that's
she
just
became the
really who she
best.
is, man.
Well, that's like it's like Ric Flair. Everybody knows who Ric Flair is.
Oh
And
yeah.
Ric Flair is just a natural heel. He's a natural bad guy. Nicest guy you ever want to meet in person, but when it
Yeah.
comes to wrestling, he's a natural bad guy. I think it's the same thing with Ronda Rousey. And like you said, she took to the wrestling ring like nobody I've ever seen, honestly. The only person I've ever seen have a better rookie year than her was Kurt Angle. And he's an
Yeah.
Olympic gold medalist. So,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
shows you the company she's in.
The way she transitioned that judo into pro wrestling was so fucking slick, man. Like I remember seeing her debut, and I was thinking like, it's probably gonna be embarrassing, because like a punch, like somebody throwing real punches and then throwing fake punches, it's just so fucking different. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And you're gonna look stupid either way. Vice versa. Like if you ever see Batista do his MMA debut?
You know what? No, I saw like highlights of it, but I didn't
You
watch the
have
actual
to
fight.
watch that. You have to watch that. There was this fat guy who was in there who looked like he just came from like a hot dog eating contest. Beat the shit out of Batista, and Batista took him down. Used his athleticism and wrestling to beat him. But what I'm trying to say is like a puncher can't throw a fake punch, and a fake puncher can't throw a real punch.
Hmm.
And Ronda Rousey just killed it, man. She killed it. She transitioned in those arm bars straight into pro wrestling, all that, man. And
Oh
she did
yeah.
an amazing job.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as like Cain Velasquez goes, I don't think too many people know he had experience in AAA in Mexico before he went to WWE. So he trained
I
as a pro
seen a little
wrestler.
bit of that.
Yeah, and I mean, he wrestled under his own name, Cain Velasquez, but he wore a mask. He wore, like one of the lucha masks,
The
but you still
Lucha
knew who he
Libre
was.
mask.
Yeah, but I mean, for a guy his size, the stuff that he could do, because he would do like the high flying type stuff. When he was in Mexico, and when he got to WWE, they kind of made him tone that down because they wanted him to be the big heavy hitter like
See,
Brock Lesnar.
that's the stuff that bothers me about WWE, man. I remember watching this documentary about the Big Show, and the Big Show, I was a bigger fan of the Giant in
Hmm.
WCW because this motherfucker would go on the top rope
Oh
and
yeah,
do a fucking jump, what's it called, the
drop
fake jump,
kick.
drop kick. Yeah, I almost
Yeah,
said a jump kick. But yeah, a drop kick from the top rope, and you're just like, what the fuck? And like he came over to WWE and they told him like, no, don't do that, you gotta do big man stuff.
hmm
That bothers me, man, because it just took a lot of what he was away from him. I feel like what made him special is because he was athletic big man. Everybody can
yeah.
be a big like, oh, me touch you, you fall down. But like
hmm
watching him sprint back and forth and drop kick and flip and all that shit, that's what I like.
Yeah, it was impressive is what it was, and I think that's
Yeah.
what kind of drew people to him. And yeah, it did diminish him a little bit, I think, when he moved to WWE and he wasn't able to do all that anymore. I mean, obviously, I think it prolonged his career not doing that kind of high flying
Oh,
stuff at his
absolutely. I can
size,
imagine.
so I'm sure that was part of it because I mean, he still wrestles today. He's been
Yeah.
going for 20, God, got to be 25 years
Wasn't he
posted.
serious in the boxing at one point?
The Big Show? No, I don't think so. I know he fought Floyd Mayweather at a WrestleMania,
Yeah.
but
I
and
thought he
that
was
was
serious. I thought he like lost a bunch of weight and was like talking about boxing or something like that. I could be wrong.
eh, I don't think so. I know there's been a couple of wrestlers that wanted to transition into boxing at some point. I can't think of any names off the top of my head, but I don't think Big
It'd
Show was
probably
one
be
of
a
them.
bad idea. I mean, look at Bart Gunn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you know what though? He kind of not intentionally, he kind of screwed himself over because
by whooping ass.
yeah, exactly. I mean, they talked about that. I don't know if you ever watched that show Dark Side of the Ring. They
Yeah,
talked.
I'm a secret mark, man. So I watch all that shit.
But yeah, when they were talking about that tough enough competition, he was
That's
never,
Vice, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
he was never supposed to win that competition because it was a legit competition. They were
That was for
putting them in
Dr.
there.
Death, right? Set up for Dr. Death, and then he
Yeah,
kind of
that
fucked it
was
up by winning.
yeah, that was the original idea. And then he won, showed himself to be this legit badass, and then they had no idea what to do with him. So they're like, oh, let's throw him that butterbean, and that just
Yeah,
killed
that was a
his
bad
career.
idea, man.
That
Butterbean's a
killed his
bad
career.
motherfucker. Hey, you
Oh
ever have
yeah.
anybody else roll a blunt on your podcast before?
No, you would be the first, man.
You got the first.
Hey,
That's
this is
funny.
when this goes up, it's going to be my 100th episode. So
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah,
too bad it wasn't like the 420th or something like that. That would have been
yeah. No,
great.
I'm still a few years away from now, but yeah, episode 100 coming up this week.
So, if you're a fan of LFC, man, I know a lot of those girls, and I could definitely get you some interviews if you're looking to kill some time in quarantine and get some interviews in.
That would actually be awesome because I know I've looked on their website and I recognize a lot of those faces as like either pro wrestlers or ex pro wrestlers or stuff
Yeah,
like that. So that would actually be really cool.
those girls, man, they will fucking surprise you because we all know what LFC, the like the main thing is for. We know what it's for,
Right.
but it's for perverted ass dudes. But the talent behind it, man, like it's starting to branch off into so much more than just like almost feel like LFC Lingerie Fighting Championship. They should kind of change the name. It's a big name because it's a big brand,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like that doesn't do it justice for how much they do. They have reality TV shows. I don't know if you knew that, but
Oh
on their
yeah.
website, if you join their website, this is not me promoting them. Well, I guess a little bit, but if you join their website, they have reality TV shows, and it's fucking hilarious, man. They have seasons and seasons and behind the scenes. They have locker room footage, of course, and
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of crazy shit on LFC.com. So if you ever get the chance, man, LFC.com is where it's at.
Well, it's kind of like with the lingerie football league that was around for a while too. You know, I mean, obviously it's for eye candy or whatever you want to call it, but
Yeah.
the women who were a part of it were legit athletes. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
and they
almost
were
like
they
they're
were
trying to
good.
prove. It's almost like they're trying to prove something.
Hmm.
The first time I went to a LFC show, I was like, I did a big vlog on it and everything, and I was like, ho ho ho, this is hilarious. I can't believe this is so corny. You know, I fucking went to that show, man. I was like, whoa, these girls are like, first of all, I didn't know that they were like real wrestlers. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I was like, these girls are real wrestlers. They have real dedicated fans. They're putting on badass shows at big events, selling out, and they're making a killing, man. They're killing it with money, and it's impressive. These girls are hustlers. These girls are hustlers, and they're gangsters, man. I love it.
Yeah, no, like I said, I've checked out their website. I haven't like watched any of their actual events, but it's like I'm seeing some of these names and faces that I recognize from pro wrestling, and it's like, okay, this is legit. They've got some legit athletes, you know, going in there. It's not just, you know, TNA, so to speak.
Right, right. But it's a
So,
lot of that, though. That's
oh yeah, obviously.
it's a lot of that. It's a fun competition to judge, man. Sometimes you're like, I wasn't really paying attention, you know, especially when Katie Forbes is fighting.
Right. Yeah, like I said, now she's wrestling in Impact with her husband with RVD. So
That's too
just
fucking cool, man.
yeah.
It's also awesome to see some of these girls go from LFC to bigger and better shows, or you know, vice versa. See them come from bigger, better shows and do a little stint in LFC, then go back to another indie show, and you know, like what's that one girl? I forget her name, but she goes from SFW to um, OVW and all that stuff. So she's
Hmm.
all over the place, just hustling and killing it, man.
Oh yeah.
It's a real craft that these girls, they travel all around the country doing this, and yeah, man,
Oh yeah, and
it's a lot.
it's gotten to the point now where like, you know, women's wrestling is on par with men's wrestling and sometimes, you know, surpasses them. I mean, I know you'll remember from back in the day the Four Horsemen, the one guy from the Horsemen, Tully Blanchard. Well, his daughter now is like the top women's wrestler in the world. She
Really,
she she wrestles for Impact. She's not in WWE, but in Impact, she is the world champion, not the women's champion. She is the world champion.
see, that's fucking cool, man. So is that like do they do like intergender matches?
Yeah, Impact is one of the few. Actually, they might be the only major company, if you want to call them a major company. They're not huge, but you know they're not what I would call an indie either because they have national television. But yeah, they're pretty much the only major promotion that does intergender matches. Like she won the world title from a guy named Sammy Callahan, who's another one of the top, you know, was a top indie guy for quite a while, and now he's with Impact. And but yeah, and I mean the two of them, they had their rivalry ran on for so long. They would just put on some amazing matches, and
That's
just to
cool.
see, you know, a man and a woman in there like that. And of course, a lot of people have issues with a guy fighting a woman, but number one is pro wrestling, you know, so you
Yeah.
know it's choreographed, it's predetermined. They're not actually beating the living crap out of each other, but you know, people are gonna have problems no matter what. But
Right. Yeah.
but but
It
yeah,
kind of
so
reminds me of like China. Back
hmm
in the day, China used to kill it. That's a tragic story right there, man. But
yeah,
China used to kill it back in the day, man. She was one of my favorite wrestlers.
yeah, and
When she
see, I
had like
think
the Intercontinental title and was
yeah.
beefing with Chris Jericho, and
Yeah, she was the only woman to ever hold the Intercontinental title. And I think the reason not too many people had a problem with China is because she was pretty much size-wise, like right there with the guys,
yeah, exactly.
you
Or
know,
Beth
and
Phoenix is another one.
yeah, she's been kind of coming back here and there. She makes sporadic appearance. She's actually an announcer now for WWE on their NXT show.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, she was another one that was, you know, size wise could match up decently with a lot of the guys too. And she's actually married to Edge now, which is just kind of
Really?
oh yeah, they've been married
That's
for a while. They
weird,
got
man.
yeah, they got two
See,
kids
I'm out the
together.
loop. I'm out the loop. That's interesting.
Yeah, her and Edge got two little girls. Edge actually just came back out of retirement this year. He'd been retired for 9 years and came back.
Yeah, wasn't he retired because of concussions or something like
No,
that?
he had a neck injury. He
Okay.
and like a spinal injury, but I guess he had another, or he had had one surgery because he broke his neck, and then after he retired, he had a second surgery that I guess repaired whatever issue he had, and then he had all that time off just rehabbing, and because he never stopped working out, because once you're into that mode and just living that life of working out every day, you just kind of
Right.
stick with it. And I guess the way the story goes, he was riding his mountain bike because I guess he lives in the mountains of like North Carolina or something like that, and was riding his mountain bike and took a fall at like 25 miles an hour, and just popped back up like nothing, like no pain,
Yeah.
no nothing. He's like, well, maybe I can get, maybe I can start taking bumps again.
That's
And
funny.
yeah, and he, came back and just had a ridiculous match with Randy Orton at WrestleMania where they just beat the living hell out of each other because WrestleMania was in an empty arena this year.
Yeah.
So, and they
Yeah,
had
that's
a,
weird, man. What do you think about that's weird. So I've been watching these I've watched a few like Raws and stuff with the
mhm.
empty arena. It was like, man, it looks like it almost looks like they're auditioning for something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's actually where they're at is where they would hold kind of like auditions, if you want to call it. It's in their performance center, their training center down in Florida. It's I don't know, it's like you said, it's weird watching wrestling without an audience.
Yeah, especially when they'll jump up on the apron and then it'll be like
Yeah, because they're
like
still
nobody's paying attention to them.
yeah, because they're still doing their full entrances and all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff, but it's
Like
like
who the
there's
fuck are
no.
you looking at? Who are you like waving to and shit? Who are you
Mhm.
showing the belt to?
Yeah, but I mean, they're keeping it going. I mean, they're still putting on some really good matches, honestly,
Yeah.
for what it is. And
And they're not letting anybody go, are they? Doing
oh,
that.
they you mean as far as like releasing them from the company or anything?
Yeah, for the like the COVID-19 shit.
Well, they was it last week or the week before? They fired like 50 people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
Damn.
between wrestlers, trainers, producers, they let
Yeah.
like 50 people go, but it was kind of a situation where these were people that were not getting a lot of TV time anyway, but they were
Yeah.
still performing on like house shows, without
Yeah.
TV. Well, now there are no house shows, so
Yeah. So
it's
it's
like,
definitely related to this COVID shit,
oh
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
See, the good thing about the UFC is Dana White's keeping his word. He's not firing anybody, man. And he probably should. Like he probably needs to. They're I don't know if you've heard, but they're talking about having fights on a fight island now. So Dana White's gonna apparently buy an island. And it sounds like some shit off of fucking like Mortal Kombat or like Enter the Dragon or something
Oh my
like that.
God.
But they're buying a fight island. They're gonna have hotels there specifically for the fighters, training facilities there specifically for the fighters, and a venue set up for the fighters. So it's gonna be us, and it's gonna be secret. So it's going to be a secret location, Fight Island. Sounds like some shit off of a movie. All
Yeah.
I know is Dana White has no super heavyweights in the UFC. That's my goal to basically do the same thing what Ronda did is convince him, hey, there's some people out here with personality, there's some people out here with skills that are big guys that can come into the UFC and put on shows and have fun. And that's my goal is convince him to open up a super heavyweight division. And I would love to fight on a secret fight island, man. That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, like you said, it sounds like something out of Mortal Kombat.
It really does.
But yeah, man, I mean, why not? Like you said, Ronda Rousey convinced them there was an audience for women's MMA. So I would say the same
Yeah,
thing for as far as like super heavyweights go.
yeah. I get it. There's not a lot of talent in the super heavyweight division if you don't look hard enough.
Hmm.
But a lot of these guys, the thing is like there wasn't a lot of talent in the women's division either. Because there wasn't no incentive to go out there and fucking make it happen because they weren't in the UFC. So why would girls try to get to the top when there's no top? But
Right.
if there's a top there, if I bring a top there, I feel like there's going to be so many big guys that are like, oh man, I've been training for years. I'm 280. I can't get to 265. So maybe this is what the fuck I should do. I know guys that are killers, man, that are killers, could beat the shit out of people in the UFC, and they never fought a day in their life,
Hmm.
and they just train all the time. They're like black belts and shit or something like that. And they never fought, they never competed in that, but if they did, they'd fucking kill somebody. And they're around 280 pounds, 350 pounds, And these
Right.
guys, they're not getting the chance that they could because they're not getting the exposure that everybody else is getting. So I feel like if I get like, if I have a good amateur run, we'll see what happens in this first fight. I've never fought before, so who knows what the fuck I can or can't do. If I can do the same thing I can in the gym, then I think I'll be all right.
Right.
But if I can have a good run in amateur, have a good run in pro, 5 fights each, I feel like I can convince the UFC to open up a super heavyweight division. But that's way down the fucking line. First, I got to start putting heads on poles. You know
Right.
what I mean? That's first.
Yeah, but hey, man, it doesn't hurt to have that, that goal in the up ahead to keep focused on.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember I had goals. I was living in a basement in my ex-girlfriend's dad's basement. Never lived in my mom's basement, but I did live in my ex-girlfriend's dad's basement. And I remember sitting there at like 470 pounds and just like could fucking like if I bent over to tie my shoes, I get out of breath. And I remember thinking like I'm gonna go to Vegas and I'm gonna compete and I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna fucking kick it with celebrities. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And I was a fucking nobody. You couldn't Google my name. You couldn't. I did nothing. And I fucking slowly but surely started making that shit happen one by one, man. And the next step is to fight. I've been wanting to fight for a long fucking time. Now it's time to fight. I'm ready to fight. I'm sick of waiting. Sick of talking about it. Sick of thinking about it. I just want to get in there and do it and show everybody like, hey, surprise, surprise. This is what I got. Everybody's so confused. They don't know. Like they don't have any training footage. They don't have any sparring footage. They don't know if I'm gonna come in there with a karate stance and get knocked out real quick. They don't know if I'm gonna come in there and look real good. I'm excited to show everybody what I got and surprise everybody.
Yeah, man. Hopefully, now I should have asked you this earlier. So whenever the fight does happen, is it going to be on pay-per-view? Is it going to be like online streaming or something like that where people can see it?
If he was smart, if the boss man is smart, he seems like a smart guy. So if he's smart, he knows I'm a big name. Not to brag or anything, but this fight's gonna get a lot of fucking views. And if he puts it online and says, "Hey, here's $5, $10, $5 for the whole event," he'll make a lot of fucking money on that. Because there's people all around the world that want to see me whoop somebody's ass or get my ass whooped.
Yeah, man. I know. Yeah, I know you and your wife both got some haters, and for the life of me, I don't know why. Because every time I've talked to either one of you guys, it's always been a pleasure. Honestly, you guys have
I
supported
appreciate
me.
it.
You guys have supported me from I think you were two of the first people to like start following me on social media after I started the show, and you were two of the first guests I ever had on the show. You guys have been nothing but supportive with me, and I try to give that back to you guys because I think you're both great people.
I
And I
appreciate
just
it, man.
oh, of course, man. I honest to God don't understand the hate that you guys get. Like the first time I had you on, I had these two idiots on Facebook just like hammering me. Like, why do you have that guy on your show? And I'm like, who are you?
Yeah, they'll do that. They'll tell you they'll lie and be like, I used to watch your show all the time, but now I can't because you're losing all credibility because you got this fucking idiot on. And so my thing is, man, is when you're popular, there's people that hate you and there's people that love you. I have people all around the world that send me fan mail, and I got people all around the world that send me hate mail. But for some fucking reason, the hate mail is what gets the headlines. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you Google Trap Gambino beef or Trap Gambino drama, there's a million things that come up. If you Google Trap Gambino fans, there's probably a million things that come up. Me talking shit to fans or something like that. But they're always about drama, man. Most media, thankfully, you're not. Most media is about drama, and I've been on shows where they're like, "Oh, this is your chance to." I'm not gonna mention any names, but there's been shows where like this is a chance for Trap Gambino to clear his name. You know what I mean? So what are we gonna do? We're gonna have Trap Gambino on here, and we're gonna have all his fucking haters call in
Oh my God.
one by one and
And
tell us what the fuck they hate about this guy. So by the end of the podcast, it's me like fighting like 15 guys on Skype, and it's just a shit show, a drama shit show, and that's what a lot of people see when they see me because drama sells, and
yeah,
that's just what it
that's
is, you know. I
it's
feel
true.
like
And
a
I
lot of
mean,
it's gonna stop after this fight.
And honestly, I'm not interested in any of that kind of stuff. I do this podcast for fun. I'm not, trying to be like Jerry Springer or nothing like that. I mean, that's
Right.
probably why I don't make any money off of it because I'm not trying to be Jerry Springer. But, I do it for fun and to just, I mean, that's it. I do it for fun because I love pro wrestling. I like, talking to people about pro wrestling or about their love of wrestling or whatever it might be. And like I said, you and your wife Ashley are have been supporters of mine from almost day one, and I appreciate it, and I always enjoy having either one of you guys on, and I'm hoping once all this is done, you guys can get to Chicago, we can have an actual full on sit down interview with the both of you guys. I would love that.
You know what? I got a guy in Chicago that wants to pay Ashley to punch him in the face. I think that might buy the plane ticket.
Oh my God. See, that's another thing I don't understand. I mean, I get it. Everybody's got their little fetish or whatever it is. So if
Yeah. Well, he
he
wants
wants
to
to get,
do it in a wrestling ring and all that.
oh my
So,
God.
like, yeah. Maybe you can go there and, like, commentate
Hey man, I'd be down for that. Like I said, to each their own. I don't judge. If that's your thing, that's your thing.
it. That's
But
funny.
but yeah, for sure, man. I mean, if you like I said, if you guys, if you do that, if you get here, I'd love to have a sit down interview with both of you guys. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be dope, man. Let's do it in the studio. Let's do it. I'm
Yeah,
down.
cool. But yeah, we've been talking for like 45 minutes here already, man. Time's flying. But
Fine.
yeah, I'm gonna no, I'll let you go. I know you finished rolling your blunt over there. I'm sure you want to get
Yes,
to it.
sir. What do you
So,
think? That's a good roll, right? That's not
oh hell
bad.
yeah, man. That's
A
that's
thick one.
skills right there.
It's like a pinky.
But before I let you go, let everybody know where they can find you online and everything like that.
So my new Instagram is, for some reason, everybody got confused. My old Instagram was called Trapping Over Vegas. They were typing like Trapped in Vegas, Tripping Over Vegas. These motherfuckers are dumb as hell. So my new Instagram is Trap Gambino X. That's it. So just my name with an X on the end. Trap Gambino XXX was taken, unfortunately. But Trap Gambino X is my Instagram handle. If you go on there, you'll find videos of Ashley knocking people out and all kinds of fun shit.
All right, cool. And you said the fight is with Rise FC, and it's tentatively you said July 5th, right?
July 4th.
July 4th.
Yeah. So that's
Okay.
on a Saturday. We're hoping to do it July 4th. Hoping to bring back some fireworks on Freedom Day. You know what I mean? It'd be perfect. It's a symbol. I feel like, I know this sounds a little hippie-ish, but I feel like my opponent's last name is Faith. So Gambino versus Faith
Mm-hmm.
on July 4th. After all this quarantine bullshit is over with, I'm going against Faith on Freedom Weekend. So it's all just a symbolize to me. It's all just a symbol to me, man. So July 4th is fireworks, man.
That's cool,
Fireworks.
man. And like I said, if it's streaming online somewhere or if it's on pay-per-view somewhere or whatever, I'll be watching as long as it's
Yeah.
available to watch. I'll be there.
Oh, I got
So.
you. I'm gonna post 80 links.
But all right, man. Well, I'll let you go. Let you get back to the family, get back to your blunt, and
All right.
yeah, stay safe and stay healthy, brother.
All right, brother. It was nice talking to you.
All right, you too, man. Talk to you later.
All right, peace.
All right, so that's going to do it for episode 100 of Catch, Hook, and Shoot. Coming up next week, I'm going to have my preview and predictions for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which is coming up next Sunday. So the show will be dropping possibly Saturday night, but definitely by Sunday morning because I want to get my predictions out there. See how well I can gauge what's going to happen. And but yeah, like I said. Thank you so much to everybody for checking the show out every week on all the podcasting platforms on YouTube. I mean, 100 episodes, that means I've been doing this for almost 2 years. I like to think I've gotten a little better at it since I first started. The show has reached over 40 countries around the world, thousands of downloads. Yeah, it's very, very humbling, and I cannot put into words how grateful I am to everybody who continues to check out the show every week. It means the world to me that anybody would want to listen to what I have to say about something that I love, and that's professional wrestling. So thank you so much to everybody. And as always, make sure you're listening, watching, and subscribing on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all your podcasting platforms, whether it's iHeartRadio, Pandora, SoundCloud, whatever. Find the show and check it out. Spread the word. Help me grow. This podcast is nothing without all of you guys that are listening every week. And again, thank you so much. Make sure you're following on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn. You can find the show at catchhookshoot. Email address is catchhookshoot@gmail.com. Head to patreon.com/catchhookshoot for bonus content, which I'm going to be changing it up a little bit on Patreon, but I'll make that announcement once I've got everything nailed down as far as what kind of bonus content I'm going to be putting out there. And go to prowrestlingtees.com/catchhookshoot, pick yourself up a shirt, support the show. And again, thank you to everybody so much. I've had a blast doing these last 100 episodes. Hopefully, I'm still doing it for 1,000 more episodes and then some. So with that, I'm gonna sign off. Hope everybody is staying safe and staying healthy during this crazy time. Thank you again for checking out the show and sticking with me the last 100 episodes. And I will talk to you guys again soon.